Oh, yep, you are live.
Welcome back to Podcast Winterfell, everyone. My name is Axel. Tonight, Justin Thomas of Top Shelf Fandom is joining me here live on the YouTube to take some feedback and talk Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 3, The Long Night. Find out more about us at podcastwinterfell.com. Justin, my friend, please tell the good people about yourself and where they can find you.
What's going on? I'm Justin Thomas from Top Shelf Fandom, and here jumping in on the podcast Winterfell for some of these great feedback, some of this great feedback from your podcast listeners, and soon to be, hopefully some YouTuber people coming over here because, now we're on the YouTubes too. So yeah, I'm excited for you. So yeah, we are. Sorry, I had my tripod, as fall. The lights came crashing down on me literally 2 seconds ago. So, I'm
got trauma, people, just like Game of Thrones. We got it in real life.
I'm Chicken Little over here. The sky's falling, but we're good, baby.
All right. Well, listen, we've got some great feedback. I'm very happy Justin's with me. And yes, subscribe to us on YouTube because we're trying to have a little presence. We're trying to learn and we're trying to have fun. But most of all, we're just trying to talk with people about Game of Thrones. So first off, I want to thank a new listener at The Velvet Days on Twitter, Sir Jacqueline, Grace Lacey, Lady of Cats. She just tweeted out some really nice, kind things. You can go over to our Twitter at Winterfell Pod and check that out. And I just always think that's sweet. We've had so many people say we just started listening, or even we found you on YouTube. And I just love that because this is all about the community and getting new perspectives. And she enjoyed Heath and I doing the deep dive and just talking about kind of the emotional trauma. And she had a question, Justin, which I know you like to talk about, which is kind of like the multi-generational trauma and the kind of the passing down of that in this show. And I think it's something that I mention a lot on the show. And it's something I mentioned so much in my rewatch, which is like, everybody's story is horrific, yo. Like, it's not like, oh, my mom met my dad and they're happily ever after. It's like, my mom killed my brother's uncle and then they drowned the baby and the person was a magic cat. And it's just,
I didn't know you knew my uncle.
Yeah, well, see, it's your monkey.
Oh, wow. Sorry, Uncle Frank.
I mean, I'm making a little joke there, but seriously, it's some hard stuff. And it's that way for a reason, because the author, George, and I think the showrunners and the people working on the show have an idea that this is about regeneration. This is about accepting trauma, accepting the past and moving on in a positive way. I think that that's echoes throughout this multi-generational, and this new generation kind of wants to try to let go of that. Even in the way they govern and the way they speak to each other or trust each other. And I think that's a positive thing in the show. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of it comes down to, you're always going to have a fair amount of conflict within your story. You don't, even the Brady Bunch had their foibles. So, but it's a saga. Like you say, the multi-generational stuff. And I find it to be very interesting that everybody tries, we hear this a lot. We hear, I'm going to leave this world a better place than my father left it. Yara and Danny have that conversation in the show. We have a lot of it in the books as well. But I think it's effective because, we all know that, evolution is not linear per se. And we try to learn from the mistakes of our own mistakes. If we have any, which we have very few, no, but in the mistakes of those around us in our life, and we learn from struggle. It's that old saying that it's about the journey, but a journey. What is a journey? A journey is struggle. Yeah. So, it's great, and I like to think every generation, like Rickard Stark said that he was going to be different. They all did. Everybody was.
That's a good point. That's and you know what, man, that's true too, because like they've had so much. It's like it's at some point though, it's just kind of lessening it, and though you're right, that is a great point, dude. Every generation kind of tries in their own way to correct what came before. And this story we're seeing is so much about that, but we see the mistakes that these people have made. and the people that come after them will make mistakes. But maybe it's just about being a little bit more open about it or honest about it. So you can, almost like that, kind of like the Hound admitting maybe the earlier generation of the Hound would never have it, even as much emotion as he has in this show. You know what I'm saying? Like just a little bit incremental change. We can
Yeah,
hope.
in keeping the good, like we see the folly of the Starks, but that the moral and ethical, the very rigid and straightforward, purist approach to that doesn't work out for Ned. He dies for honor, but that is why the Starks are so great, because they get chipped away and they learn different ways to do things, but their foundation, it shouldn't stay again like that purist approach like Ned, where it's like maybe you should have Renly help you. He's like, that's not the proper feudalistic succession, so I'm not gonna do this. And
Right.
it's the idea you can't help your family if you're dead, so you have to stay alive. So but the foundation of having, living a moral and ethical life to the best of your ability is a pretty good foundation. So
Yeah.
they get chipped away and come back. So they learn from the mistakes and they also learn from the good. And
That's true.
sometimes we don't
It's
learn
not
at
all
all.
bad. You're right, man. It's not all the tradition and all the things that are passed down. It's not breaking the wheel is maybe not the best thing too, because some parts of you don't want to forget how to make a wheel. That was it. That's what I was going to say.
I never learned. So yeah.
True though, right?
Yeah.
You don't you think you're so smart and you forget what has come before. So that is in the book, and I know in the show too, where people say, "Oh no, we know better. We know better," and
Well,
then
it's
they
like draining the
totally
swamp now,
ignore it.
right?
Right.
That all
Well,
this
we'll
idea
leave
we
that
want an
we'll leave that for
outsider.
another podcast.
Work within the system is what I
Yeah,
mean. Work within the
I
wheel. If you don't know how to work within the wheel, you can't change anything.
exact because it's always gonna be a swamp. So you have to figure
Yeah,
out how to work within it. Good job. It's true.
that's all I meant
It's
by
true.
that.
I
Yeah.
thought we were gonna get into a different show. I didn't wanna do that. All right, now we have another first time feedback from Ira. Thank you, Ira. Really enjoyed your season 8, episode 3 deep dive. One of your listeners, actually, Ira, that was my wife, posited that Bran and the Night King were communicating telepathically moments before Arya killed the Night King. Now, what my wife said is she thought Bran was doing something. It was actually, I think, Heath who said, oh, maybe he was talking with the Night King. Um, Ira continues, I really think this is brilliant. Thanks for sharing. So many people are dissing this brilliant, magnificent episode. Also picking out that Bran did absolutely nothing. If Bran took Night King's attention away, even for a split second, allowing Arya to slip in, then that was imperative to his demise. Now, this is kind of also a thing that I had mentioned, and Justin, I just want to get your kind of mythological theory type thoughts on this. I had posited that maybe even in the split second that Arya was jumping in the air and the Night King was holding her, Bran went back and changed something, or he did something different or something like that, which he wouldn't have to do because Arya could still kill, but he got worried. It was like a
Mm.
Hodor situation, and he made a mistake or so. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we're going to see anything else out of Bran and the magic, or should we tuck that away and enjoy the battle with Cersei?
I think that it's not wrong to ponder these things about Bran. I think the Night King arc is something that people need to get over, that actually does hold up. I'm not saying it's beautiful, but I'm saying it holds up. What I'm gonna pose here to you, and it's a little bit different than when we talked privately. Bran's mark, his staph infection that he got from the Night King, that allowed the Night King to track him, and it was also implied that also allowed the Night King to go through the boundaries, the magical barrier in the
Yeah.
werewood tree, and it was implied that that would be the only reason that the Night King could get past the wall. So here's the issue that I do have with Bran. I think that what you said, and we talked about this before, um, there is no implication and there's nothing that should lead us to believe that if Bran did interject in that scenario, that we should be able to see it in the moment. That is not the best method to go about this when it's a visual medium, and again, like, if that is the case, then
There's
we
no
have some
hints that it happened.
exposition being dropped. So here's my question. Bran had to go beyond the wall. He needed to gather information. The information he gathered was Jon's true parentage, and that the children of the forest weaponized, the Night King. And then if he came back, in the reason, and it does hold up with the rules they've set, that the only way the Night King, came through the wall, dragon or not, was because there's supposedly the same magic that was in that
Well,
tree.
see, they never that might be a part of the books, that the wall is magical, and then people had said, "Oh, now that Bran's touched, once he passes the wall, the Night King," like it was a double thing. The Night King had to get the dragon and get Bran through the wall with the mark on him. But I don't think that there's really anything in the show that says that the mark that's had anything to do with the wall.
Yeah, they just cite the magical barriers. So, that's a question of mine is, okay, why did Bran need to lead the Night King to the Godswood? And because that's a big, you know, gaping hole, if it is the fact that the only reason he can get past the wall is if Bran goes past the wall. So essentially you're looking at a scenario, and I'm just laying it out, that Bran brought the army of the dead in order to, deliver Jon that parentage, the information about his, true, parentage. So I'm struggling even without that little paradox, because really what seems to me to be the most important, and why I think Bran is still going to play a role, is because the biggest piece of information that he holds to be important is the lineage, Jon's true parentage. So that doesn't play with the Night King, obviously. So that must, whether he foresees something, there is it's injected in the story that the Green Seers can see a little bit in the future. It's like glimpses, it's not always accurate, and so forth. So, I guess the way to look at it is, I don't know if he did anything in that moment, and I think that that's going to be best left up to our imagination, if he Doctor Strange did or not, because that's just some heavy exposition at the beginning of the next episode or wherever, where he's like, actually, guys, I heard the fans said I wasn't doing anything.
And then it like reverses, goes.
Yeah. So, that it's a dangerous weapon, Bran is, because you either say he did nothing, or you weaponize that man, and he can make this story very, very quickly. The story can spin out of control, meaning stakes can be lost, because we have time travel, we have ultimate beasts, there. So
I like what you're saying, which is what you're saying. Look, regardless of all the magic and everything, it really boils down to two pieces of information. He's used the Night King part. He's also told the Jon part. But is there going to be anything else past that? I don't know. I agree with that. But there's, I think, a third part that he brought with him, which is that he now holds the history of that world.
yes.
So I do think that's why I think I'm not ready to say, I don't know if I totally go with the theory, Ira, and I don't know if Bran took away the Night King's attention for Arya. I think Arya did her thing, needed no one else to do it. She's a deadly ninja assassin, and she took care of it. She got the job done. But I do think maybe Bran and the magic isn't done yet. And as Justin said, there's like information gathered there. And I think if you have the Night King, you have Jon's parentage, those things are kind of delivered. But in that big town hall meeting, they talked about how he holds the memories and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's an important concept, because they may at some point want to say, okay, Bran, you didn't die there. The memories continue. Now what? Because at some point you're going to die, Bran. Are you an everlasting being now? Or should we go put you in a tree now, Bran? What's the next step? Like, is Bran going to say, look, we need to start replanting the werewoods. We need to start like there still has to be a next step.
Yes. Well, this is all I'll say about this, Ira. The only problem is if this information turns out to be not significant in the episodes to come, we are faced with a little bit of dilemma, because that is a issue of, we just had Bran do what he did because we needed to bring the story to our characters, meaning it needed to happen in the Godswood, just for our story.
He just needed to sit there doing nothing so he could be bored there. Well, but I think that might, you know what, Justin, that might be it. I mean, he was kind of bait,
But why did he have to be bait in the Godswood? So I guess, I think a lot of this is going to be ambiguous, and I think that,
that's an interesting idea. You're right. It was his suggestion, right?
Yes, but he can shed light on the past, like you said, and that is very valuable, and especially when you got the intellectual like Sam that can sit there, and tell him where to look. Maybe we get Lyanna and Rhaegar at the tourney of Harrenhal. Maybe we get a insight into like something that happened in the past that affects the story and affects the claimant for the throne. How that goes about. He can play a role because he can provide information. The only information he's provided so far is all we can go off of right now. So yes, I think we're right to be as Ira is, and I think we're all on the same level here. We're kind of like hedging our bets right now because
we're hopeful because it would be fun, but it's kind of pure theoretical now because there's a battle that has to come. That's cool. Ira, thank you so much for writing in. And Justin, of course, thank you for being here with me and talking feedback. This is fun. Live on the YouTubers. John Wambacher, patron, friend, public servant, also was on the roundtable a few weeks ago. We're going to be doing that again, but I think only with like 3 or 4 people. DJ is going to take care of it. We had like 50 people and too many people. We're going to slow it down because we want everyone to get a chance to talk more. Justin was on that show. You were great, Justin.
Thank you. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of cool people.
I can see you.
It's nice to see the merging of the podcast and the YouTube world.
Yeah, the worlds
collide.
Fire in the ice.
In a world where a podcaster YouTubes. Yeah. So it'll be good.
Okay, John, I really enjoyed the episode, but don't you think we should have seen the effects of using the dragon glass more? There really was no payoff. We didn't see any of the White Walkers killed by it. Now, I have to say, John, I disagree a little because I think it was kind of, we should have just taken for granted that a lot of people had those weapons, and that's the only reason they could even last that long. And we did see a couple of White Walkers explode when they went into the barricades with the dragon glass sticking out of it.
Yes.
But John also mentions, I thought the archers would be set. It would just be going off like tons of archers with dragon glass arrows. I'm not into that stuff and like the battlements, though I think it can be cool. And I like the action photography and all that. But I have to say, John has a point. There was a lot of dragon glass up to this point. Sam had to find it in the book and send the note to John, and John went to Dragon.
After Stannis already told him he had to find it again.
What's that?
Stannis tells him in season 2.
It was such a big trail to the dragon glass, and it was such a big part of John meeting Dany.
I'm glad I was going to go there. You took my thing. I was going to say that, instead of looking at for the payoff here, look at how it's functioned throughout our story so far.
Oh, okay. See, you're bringing up something I wasn't thinking. Can you say that point again, Justin?
You were saying it, that's what I mean. The function that it serves so far, that it's brought the reason that John, maybe he would have went to Dragon's Zone, without the dragon glass being there. But that's what really sold him. It's like, all right, I'm going to go and make an effort because there's multiple reasons. He sees opportunity when Dany goes there. Dany has something that he needs. And it's not just her dragons, it's glass.
You're saying it's about the journey, not the destination. Dragon glass brought us on a journey. The destination was this battle where they kind of used it. Yeah, it was a part of it, but maybe we didn't have to see everybody like, get the dragon glass.
Yeah. I'm with him on the in the sense of too that I thought there should have been more lulls with the white attacks because of the how chaotic that was. And you should have had a few what I call side boss battles. You know how you had like Umber and Tormund in the Battle of the Bastards. You should have had Jamie and Brienne or somebody, you know, with Valerian face off against White Walkers, because that films better. It's less crazy. It was just, but I think they were really going for that, just like the horror of this, because everybody other than John and Danny are literally just trying to survive. Like they don't think they're gonna like defeat the whites, because it's just, well, they should be burning them, but you know what I mean. But I agree. I mean, but this is a situation where it's like it was this high fantasy battle, and I was pretty actually satisfied with it, and I'm not even really like for that. I'm more for the conventional warfare. So, but yeah, we're always, I mean, it's not like John's wrong here. They definitely could have done things that were better, but yeah, I think the Valyrian steel in one-on-one battles with the individual White Walkers, because we saw about 14 of them.
I think that's what it. I think I kind of you pick. I was saying it. I didn't even realize I was saying it. You picked up on it, and now I totally agree with it. Which is that both the Valyrian steel, the dragon glass, those things were laid because they all told us, get the White Walkers. They played into the overall plot. They were valuable along the journey to remind us they're staples. It's like I talk about and you talk about how, you use words in world to recognize that, right? Like this is the way you world build. You create words and you use them. You say Valyrian steel a lot. You say dragonglass, and then you use it to get John to go to Danny, and you get the Valyrian steel becomes swords, and it's about tradition, and it's about the mythology in the past. So,
and prestige within the families, when the White Walkers aren't there, it's all about, the Lannisters. They send uncle, I forget the uncle's name, but it's valued for multiple reasons.
White explodes.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, for a family to have a Valyrian steel sword is a big deal. That's why the Lannisters get theirs. They sent Tyrion's favorite uncle in the books was sent off. I'm blanking on his name, but he went to
Uncle Tyrion.
It's not, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like it's a status thing as well.
Yes, no, I know that, but I was saying it for John's point. If I'm going to interject myself as the director of this episode for a moment, I'm going to say, hey, camera, make sure that let's do that shot we talked about where that scared old guy we showed picks up a dragon glass and we see the white explode. So we see the power of the dragon glass in the battle, and we start to understand that it's actually an important part of the battle. Maybe they didn't do that enough. So let's move on, because I think unless, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Did you have some more dragon glass?
No, I just would like to add one more thing, that it's interesting too that the great houses have the Valyrian steel, and then the regular soldiers have the dragon glass, so it's like a status thing. But I like the idea. We see like the ceremony of Sam giving Heartsbane to Jorah. So these houses, these lords, these great houses are supposed to protect the realm, so they have it for status when the White Walkers aren't charging, through the wall, because it's all nonsense to them until it's in their face, which is understandable. But it turns into from a status symbol to like, now, hey, how you have all this power, now you need to use that like trophy that you got to actually guard the realm of men.
Yep, that's true. Right, exactly. Like we saw with Sam, and yeah, that's a good point, man. I like that. That's a good thematic point. All right, John Lee. One character got the complete shaft during the long night, an important character from the beginning that has become more and more unimportant. It's Ghost. He looked amazing as a set piece on the Vanguard with the Dothraki and Jorah, but go out like a fart in the wind? Now wait, I have to stop. Some people say Ghost is alive. Is Ghost confirmed alive? Or Justin, do you know this?
Yeah, you're a purist, but yes, he's alive.
Yeah,
they couldn't pay for the CGI to get him back.
Okay, I think I think it's not a huge spoiler to say that Ghost is alive, because the battle was, it was hard to see if anybody was alive. I don't think they were trying. The thing disappears and reappears, the dog. So I don't think it's a spoiler. I'm sorry about that, Brett, if you think that's spoiler. But I want to continue with John's letter because it's funny. The whole time, John is fighting through the recently raised dead. I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, Ghost is going to come jump at John as an undead wolf. But nope, even in death, Ghost gets the shaft. There was a rule: if a character wasn't killed on screen, they weren't dead. I suppose the Blackfish is dead. Stannis is dead. Syrio Forel could actually be dead. And Ghost could in fact be dead as well. Or Ghost could be alive, because we think Ghost is alive.
Yeah.
John continues, I love the episode, but my only complaint was the amount of hero plot armor passed out. I'm glad he said this, because I have a weird theory on it. When Jaime, Brienne, and Pod are pinned against the wall, Sam is backstroking in a sea of undead. I was fully prepared for all of their deaths, but nope. First, I want to hear what you have to say about this, Justin.
Well,
Jaime, Brienne, Pod against the wall, and Sam in the sea of dead.
Yeah, I went over this a little bit in my test stream, how they utilize the rule of 3, establishing pattern and breaking it with the 4th. You get your Dollar Sad death, you get Jorah's death, and you get Theon. You don't get a lot of big names. We are at a point in this story where a lot of these characters, unfortunately, because of the medium, I'm not dogging on it. We don't have all these, it's still the largest cast ever in television history. But, okay, Sam represents the Reach at this point. Tormund represents the Free Folk. If we have to look at who's going to rule the 7 kingdoms, or how they're going to rule it, and they're trying to save something, it's kind of, they're in a bad situation, because you almost can't kill off a lot of these characters, and we're so used to that at this point, because that's what it was built off of. But unfortunately, if you kill Tormund, then there's no representation of the Free Folk that is familiar. So I obviously know there's other wildlings, but that's how television works. We need to have a character that's established, and that's why the houses are very much symbolic of the lands in which they live in, and so forth. So yeah, I thought that there could have been, I thought Brienne should have died. I thought that was my prediction, not because I don't like her, I really like her, but because her arc was complete. And even though I have a Sansa video coming out where I think they can still do stuff with her, but I really did want to see somebody die, like Rob. It's just the idea of people can die now because their arc is complete. Well, it's really impactful when Rob Stark dies, because his arc is anything but complete. You know what I mean? He's about to go for
and dude, that's what makes this show great, is that it's real. That completes their arc. The idea that everything should be The Walking Dumb Dead, where the episode the person dies, you really get to know them and their arc is complete. No, that's not the way life is.
Yeah.
Not everybody, that your arc doesn't, you could live to 90 and your arc isn't complete.
You can finally get into medical school after working your whole life up and die that next day.
No, it's great. Like the Rob thing was great. He's on the rise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Thing. Oh, we think the politics is going to continue. Oh no, Joffrey off with the head.
Yeah, but we can't have the jostling for power within the kingdoms if we kill off these. They are literally you're getting more. Even we're getting away from the high fantasy for these last 3 episodes. Like in Token's work, characters, individual characters represent whole, wildlife, or
But may I make one?
Yeah, it's your show. Yeah,
one theory. Oh, it's our show, pal. Whenever you're on with me, this is our place that we made together, just like in Lost, which one day I'm going to get you to watch, and you're going to love it.
I will try it.
Okay. This is my crazy theory. They were protected by the Lord of Light.
Oh God, I hate that.
Okay, I'm just saying it was pretty bad. They were up against that wall for like an hour and a half, and they were just like, oh, it was. I accept it. We talked about it on the pod a little bit. It's a TV show.
To be fair, Jon was protected by the Lord of Light. They don't, in the Battle of the Bastards. They do talk about that. They wanted to make sure to actually showcase that he was all the craziness. Yeah. I'm not joking.
No, I'm not. I think that it's a part of the show, right?
Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason. We're never going to know exactly why.
Right. That's why I kind of said it, bro, because one of the huge plot points of this episode is that Melisandre had been like Littlefinger, when we found out about John Aaron, blah, 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 she had been moving little pieces and also Arya in those pieces. And the result was this. So in the same way, we could say maybe the Lord of Light works in mysterious ways. And in this world, it's possible that they were protected, and then that's why these things occur. I don't know if we're ever going to know it. We're probably never going to talk about it. They might not even mention the Lord of Light again, but I think it was just worth saying.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, did you
Yeah,
want to
no,
say
no,
something?
no, absolutely. Yeah, you just see a lot of your character moments really come from Arya. She evokes the character moments and the lulls. Everybody else kind of is in a repetitive state. And again, I like this episode, but with
Great.
the whites. So,
Yep.
but Arya was utilized to
She's
pull your
moving forward.
character out.
Yeah. Dude, that is a great point. And it's even, wow, Justin, I knew there was a reason why I liked you.
Yeah, would you just figure what you didn't think I'm starting to think you didn't think I was smart
Well,
before.
but
Yeah.
you're totally right. If you even think about it from a view of cinematography, of camera, of motion, she was constantly moving, going forward, and propelling other characters forward, right? Beric, the Hound,
Yes.
things moving forward. Everyone else, you're right, was like in stasis or became trapped
Hmm.
or was pushed back and forth. They were at the mercy of something else. She seemed to have her own
She
way
had
of playing.
agency.
Yes, she had.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. We have a longer email. I'll read the beginning and then why don't you jump in and ask some of these questions? Okay, Justin?
Okay.
This is from, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, Diogo, Diogo. I'm trying. From Brazil. Awesome. Love it. So many people this season have reached out to me from different countries, and that's what I love about the internet and this show. It's worldwide. I'm
Mhm.
from Brazil and I really enjoy your podcast. Too bad it took me 8 GOT seasons to find it. You can go back. Like our friend Roberto, I have also mixed feelings about the episode, but Arya killing the Night King the way she did made up for the low points. There are more pros than cons about the episode, of course. Let's start with the cons. I hope you refute them because I don't like being bitter about the show. Neither do we. Ghost's role was too small. We kind of talked about that, but it would have been cool. But they always say the CGI thing. I don't really think that's actually true. Uh,
It is.
I think that it's because they spend money on other things. I think it's that it's just a big dog attacking things. And I think, I don't know, it gets maybe a little repetitive. It's just kind of jumping around. It always ends up looking like Twilight. And I'm kind of glad that they don't have Ghost in the show more. I got to be honest with you.
Mhm.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I did do a lot of research, and I have about an hour and a half long video that serves as a really shitty movie talking about this. And it you're right, they have the money, but
Yeah.
it's the time for the texture. I always cite this. Look at when John,
Sure.
before he's resurrected, spoiler, when I think it's episode 3 of season 6. When Ghost is howling out there, take a look at that Ghost. That's 70% Ghost, and it's very blurry. It's the texturing. It's very time consuming, and
Yeah,
it's very
look,
difficult.
I agree. I agree with you on that, Justin. But that's still saying that it's somehow a technical aspect.
I did
I
this
think,
video because of the same frustration you feel because of the budget. So
yeah,
I'm with you because I was
no,
like,
I think
"What are
it's
you telling
both.
me? They got to pick between dragons
Yes,
and dire wolves?"
exactly. It's
Yeah,
both. I think you're right. It's texture. Basically,
yes,
let's put it this way. It's the amount of time that goes into it and the result you get out of it.
yes. It is
You get,
not worth. Yeah, yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Let's
Yes.
move on. They should have used more fire against the whites, especially dragon fire before the Dothraki attack. I know John and Danny were saving the dragons to fight the Night King, but one Dracarys wouldn't hurt. And also when the whites were climbing up the walls, it seemed an obvious strategy they didn't explore. I don't know much about battle, but I do know that fire has its own way of spreading. So if you light the side of the castle on fire or you're using so much fire, I think they tried to use it. And also you saw the aspect. One thing I noticed is, dragons are like, make wide right turn. You can't just turn. They like, or else John and Danny aren't good at doing the spin move or whatever, like a TIE fighter can do. it has to whip around. So I think in essence, any complaint against the battle strategy of our heroes can be chalked up to two things. They're really not that good, and they've shown that before. They kind of lose every battle almost, except when Danny has a clear shot of burning everyone. And they were up against a crazy force that was not only intimidating physically, but mentally, psychologically, had no stopping. So they were all of it was berserker style amphetamines craziness.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it.
Yeah, it was sequenced out to the methed out zombie horde that was just trying to be held off by the others, and then there's the cat and mouse game that involved Danny, John, Arya, and Theon ends up playing his role. But here's what I'll say about it. We can adhere conventional warfare and play armchair general, which I enjoy doing. I think there's some fun to that. Obviously, like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to send. You should never send cavalry without infantry, is like the old saying General Ney did in Waterloo, that he was on the French side. The Light Brigade by Colonel Carnegie. That's where Carnegie comes out completely. I just look up Carnegie and General Ney and see. But here's the point. You notice I call it tricks and games. Every single battle starts with a trick, right? The Wildfire by Tyrion, Ramsay's game, this Accra being lit, and it's actually always a cult. It's always it's the catalyst that has the battle ensue. So they are following a sequence of events that Miguel uses that works really well. They definitely should have battered them to hell with arrows and the ballista for far longer before they put a charge. It definitely should have set up the trench right away and put a choke point. I mean, yeah, we could go through this. I mean, I think most of us figured that wasn't the best way, but it's like in the end, I guess like that's fun. Like if we want to do a stream just about that, and I'm totally with you.
I think because I have no interest. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. So
yeah, but I mean, I'm just armchairing it too. I mean, at the end of the day, and I always found that interesting coming up to this with all these videos of how to beat the White Walkers, and
people have.
I always thought, well, how do you beat something that you don't know, like what they're trying to get?
I agree, and I think one thing that people always forget that they showed in this episode, the 10 minutes of hearing as Jorah looks out, is the psychological intimidation. And also, as Heath and I talked about on our pod, a lot of people like to look at a battle and envision themselves as a hero or a superhero, when in fact, it is very scary. If you are the bravest person in the world, you should be scared.
Yeah.
And that is a huge factor. Let's move on from that. Let's see. I actually just got an email from Brett that we're going to throw in here. Thanks, Brett. Let's see. We talked about Bran. Oh, this is interesting. We kind of talked about this a little bit. But Diogo, I'm trying to pronounce that correctly, concurs. Not really a con, but the previous episode seemed like such a farewell episode that I spent the week getting emotionally ready to see some of the favorite characters die.
That's on purpose. That's done in every single one as well.
Brienne, Pod, Tormund, Davos. It was all for nothing. On the other hand, I'm glad we'll see some of them fight Cersei.
Subverting expectations, so it works. They did, that's. I'll just touch on it really quick. Battle of the Bastards. You have a scene with Tormund and Davos, and it's just dialogue that is it's left open ended. It would serve well as a farewell.
Yes.
So meaning they're not talking about things they're going to do. They're just talking about the situation they're in and kind of just like the.
And Justin, isn't that actually add to the reality, because they think they're going to die?
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't necessarily I mean, it is subverting expectations and it's a technique, but I also think it's a good way of showing how people really do react to something like that. They really do say, hey, look,
looking for finality and And excuse me, but yeah, you want to have those moments because it's true to life. Like you said, yes, you would want to, if we were about to go into battle, I know I'd be sweet 'cause I'm sweet with a sword and I'm badass, but I'd want to make sure to, like, you're a good friend of mine. I'd like to, you'd be like, it's been nice knowing you. You want to have those little moments. You don't want to be like, let's make sure to, pay our phone bill on Wednesday, when the battle's on Monday. You don't want to like say stuff like that because that puts the audience in the state of mind of, what's happening for these characters after.
Definitely.
You want everybody to be up for grabs, even in Thrones.
All right, now for the pros. It blew the audience away. Everyone on the live streams I watched or talked to today said they needed some time to catch their breath after it was all done, myself included. It even made me feel the urge to write to you about it. You know what? That is a great, simple point that a lot of people, we kind of gloss over, say, what an episode. But you know what? They did a masterful job of setting us up. Sam's hands, to Melisandre falling in the snow. Whether you hated it at the end, loved it at the end, had problems with it, whatever, plot armor, whatever you're going to say, it was completely enthralling. And it was one of the most tense and emotional. My heart was beating for an hour and a half. Did you feel that way, Justin? Were you at all taken out of it, or did this just get you? Because it got me. And I just want the spectacle worked. And sometimes, you know what? I like this. I'm not here for the spectacle, but I like that. It's fun.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I do want to address, because we got some people in the chat. Thank you everybody for joining us. And please make sure to subscribe to this channel. Axel's trying to get it going. Everybody
Sorry
is.
about that.
And Sly the Tank Benjamin. Wow, that's a badass name. Just like Littlefinger said, best way to confuse your enemy is to never let them know your true intention. So yeah, if you let people know your desires, then they know how to defeat you. They know what you're going for. They know how to
What's
take
that
you
in
away.
reference to?
Just talking about
Plans and stuff?
what's that?
Was that in reference to, is he talking about kind of battle plans and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I
Oh,
just
okay.
wanted to,
Yeah.
because he tagged us in there, so I want to, and it is
Me
a
too.
relevant point. So
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I really enjoyed this battle. My heart stopped for an hour and a half, and I found that to be
Wow.
weird. But it happened to Dick Cheney too. So he's fine.
That's
But no, all
that was
jokes
a
aside,
great part of that
this,
movie, actually.
what?
Where he kept on having a heart attack. Like,
Yeah.
he's just sitting there. Okay, I think we better go to the hospital.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I think that I'm getting a little sick of and it's kind of odd too, because I've been very positive these last two seasons. When I first started making YouTube videos, I thought I had to be a contrarian and try to, say how much better things could be. There's no value in that, and that doesn't enhance my enjoyment. You definitely have to speak truth and not lie, and say when you don't think things were done well and
Definitely.
there's glaring holes. But here's the thing: there's so many people that are so mad about, how we love Game of Thrones because it doesn't have heroes or pure good versus evil. But now there's a lot of people that, in some of the top content creators out there, that after this show, they were mad because the show that we loved so much for not having heroes didn't have a hero. Kill the Night King. The Night King didn't die in the way they wanted. The Arya, who everybody loves except for me, usually, assassinate somebody as an assassin. So they found, like, when she did that to the phrase, everybody clapped. When she did it to the Night King, everybody said, what the hell, that's not right. The story that is about the folly of prophecy and the roads that takes you down, Stannis burning Shireen and being like one of the best generals, if not the best, in the Seven Kingdoms at this time, essentially losing that battle tactically to a butcher's boy. But then they're mad because we didn't get a prophet. Where's our Azor Ahai? I every reason that you state, about subverting tropes, this isn't like this, is every reason that people are complaining about this episode. Where's our hero? Where's our prophet? Where's this? It's like,
Hey,
that's not in this story.
You know what, Justin? You know that I agree with you. I think this entire story is about how history is false, how prophecies and legends are not as valuable as the people right in front of your face in your actual human relationships and the actions of one single person. And I think that I can understand, though. I can understand why. And actually, Jenny sent in an audio clip that talked all about this. So on the podcast, I'm going to play that now. But we're here on YouTube, so I'm going to continue. But the point
I
is,
really enjoyed that audio we
yeah,
just
it was
listened to.
great. That's my podcast trick. The point is that people get into it and they attach themselves
Mhm.
to a theory. And I'm not going to judge, because I think that the internet and often life becomes an either or situation. If either you like this or you like that, I like to do both. I think people are generally not hypocritical, but people can act in a dual nature. So I accept that. And I accept the fact that I can think John is awesome. I can love
Mhm.
his journey, but I can also think that it was, in a sense, metaphor, that he was swinging at the dragon like Don Quixote at windmills,
Mhm.
while Arya took direct action and got the job done, doing what she was trained to do, cutting through prophecy, cutting through history, cutting through tradition to do it. And I
Yes.
like that and appreciate that. But I'll tell you this, if John had a kick-ass flaming sword battle with the Night King, that probably would have been pretty cool. And I
Mhm.
think
It
that,
was cool at Hardhome.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That was cool. And you know what? We still have 3 episodes to go.
Yeah.
So before we say that John is not a hero, let's
Ye
watch the rest of the episodes, and let's also think about the fact that not every hero has the killing blow. Sometimes the hero is the person who brings them together. And also, our story is not about a hero, our story is about a pack. The pack
Yeah.
survives. They're all heroes.
Yeah, yeah, if I can just clear up what I'm saying is because there are heroes in our story, but the heroes in their
No, I know what you mean.
their
Azor
good
Ahai.
intentions don't, result like just automatically good. But my thing is of course I like and I dislike it. That is the whole point of the stab discourse. It is when we have people that are the like the ultimate authorities on this show, due to the algorithm, and they are they they're not just saying they don't like it. They're saying that it's the worst and it's bad
Well, you know what?
storytelling,
I
and
don't.
that's where I have the
Mhm.
problem with
Yeah,
it,
I
because
look.
they have a fundamental misunderstanding of it.
I
I'll
I
leave it at
agree. Yeah,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I no, I don't. I mean, I wanted to discuss, not interrupt you. I apologize. That's the way people are. People get upset
Yeah.
about stuff. People get upset. And there's some people who enjoy the fight and the discussion at that level. And there's other people who enjoy just to say, hey, it's a show, watch it. But the one thing I always say is I try not to get too upset at anybody, because we all love the same thing. And
Mhm.
really, we are a small minority in the 98% of the rest of the world watching this, who just watches a TV show once a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just
You
got
have
to
to
keep
keep
it in
that in mind.
perspective.
I
And,
just think
you know,
people wouldn't be as negative as they've been about this if we didn't have so many big voices. People have a lot of sway for better or
I
worse,
don't know
and,
about
and
that.
it's
I
it's
don't know if I
important to recognize that
but that's
you
that's the
cannot
way
like
life is,
something.
though, Justin. That's the way everything is. There's always people that listen to other people and voices rise up, and there's those who choose to listen to the big voice, and there's those who choose to listen to all voices, and they're going to be that way regardless if there's a
Yeah.
big voice or
No,
not.
no, yeah, I'm not trying to sling mud. I
I
kind
like
of
a lot
wanted
of
to
those big
voice my
voices.
opinion on it, and just say that, somebody that has been very critical in the past, listen, this, just think about the aspect of if you're not happy that Arya killed Night King, fair enough, because it was kind of a quick, I didn't
Yeah.
mind it, but it was very quick. But let me just pose this to you. The decision to have Arya kill the Night King was made season 3. The decision was not made off of who can kill the Night King. The decision was made based off of who deserves in the show to kill the Night King. So even if somebody else kills the Night King, just that function itself tells you that it changes the story slightly, just in the sense of that's the person that killed the Night King.
Yeah,
But
I
the
don't know.
story's not going to be different.
Why are
You
you
know what I
so much
mean?
but what Oh, if somebody else killed the Night King,
Yeah,
you mean?
because the
Yeah, I
decision
agree.
wasn't made. Arya wasn't the only one that could do it. They
Yes, I
decided
agree.
on her. Like
Yes.
that, I'm just
Okay.
trying to bring
I
a. I
gotcha.
try to look at the story in a more broader sense, and
Yeah,
that's saying,
that
of
I agree
course,
with. We
we can
don't
be
know.
disappointed,
We don't
but
know because we're not in the writer's room, and also, let me just reiterate this again. Whenever you see anyone from the show doing an interview, they are working their job.
Mhm.
So welcome to that. Or when they're talking to a journalist, they are on the job. And when you speak, when you're on the job, you talk like things that you say you should speak on the job. You're not talking to your friend. So it's still a quote. So I always just leave it to the imagination and say they had like you said, Justin, because I started thinking, what happens if it was Theon? Oh, I could come up with a reason why he did it. What happens if it was Brienne? Oh, I could come. What happens if it was Jamie? Oh, the Mad King. I could come. I could. So
What
there's
does it mean for the world that he's dead, and what does it mean for the
yes,
person that killed them?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You could
You
come
know?
up with so many
Of
variations.
course it changes, but
Yeah,
it's not, and again, we're at the end of a story that we love.
right.
Stories
Madness.
need resolution, but again, this is not something that, like, even, like, the psychiatry behind this, and, that they've done studies with the dopamine dropping and the it is, like, losing people. We don't even, realize it, but they do studies on people, like, that binge watch on Netflix and stuff. I mean, it's the end. We're not gonna see our buddies anymore, you know? These people that we feel very attached to.
That's why I'm empathetic about it, Justin, and I also try to let people make mistakes online, and if somebody gets mad about
People are
something,
trying to stop them.
clap back. I just say, "Okay, I'm not gonna
No, I'm not trying to
you
become
having
bad.
a bad
I'm
day."
trying to put a different perspective out there
You
because
are,
it's
you are.
really not out there, when there's usually a lot of apologists, and it's surprising that it's the very positive people that literally sometimes will take dog crap and tell them that it's, filet mignon. But yeah, I'm just surprised
I
at the
have
overwhelming
people
negativity.
yeah.
I'm just trying to be a little bit of sunshine in the rare chance that I can be. Uh, stop trying to rain on my parade. I'm trying to be positive once, and you're trying to shut me down.
You are the
Fine, screw
sunshine.
it,
You're
guys.
the
It was
sunshine of
bullshit.
my life.
How you gonna kill the Night King like that, man?
All right,
Water's
let's
ruined.
I don't see, that's the thing is I don't wanna do is I don't wanna
You made me do that.
generalize.
You made me do that now. I wasn't doing that. Now you forced me to it. So don't say you don't want that's what you did.
All right,
Okay.
let's move on.
Move. Let's go.
The fact that the dagger used to save Bran was the same one used to try and kill him, that it passed through the hands of so many characters and was the source of so much controversy was awesome. I
Mhm.
agree, and I loved it, and I think that's such a great part of this show, and it made me think of how now the opening credits, instead of showing the history of 17 years ago, we see the history that we've seen on the show, and we see the way history we stopped talking about Robert's Rebellion and they started talking about what we've seen with Ned dying and Joffrey dying and Danny getting dragged. Like, we are now we know that history, and that knife, that dagger is a reminder of that and a reminder of how deep the plot goes, but also a reminder that everything goes back to Littlefinger.
Yeah, it goes back to that. You got to climb down that ladder. He was trying to climb to the chaos. We do have one comment here that this story was not about good and evil, and you're right.
Yeah.
It's not. In the aspect is that this monster that is dead now, the one that they were saying was evil. There is empathy for that person. That person was weaponized against their will in another attempt to create peace through chaos. So now they have to deal with the monster within. This has got a lot of grays, but yes, you will still have. I mean, you still have positive and negative emotional transitions throughout the story. That's what it's about, and it's going through that roller coaster. But yeah, definitely. And in things like the cat's paw, that's beautiful. Like, is that something that's like had to happen? No, but that's a great example of something that was smart. Like, they made sure to have that like serve so many purposes, and then it comes into play at the end. It didn't need. She could have like picked up a chip of you know what I mean. It could have been something, but that's awesome.
Well, you
It's
know
a
what?
way
Also,
to
just
layer your story.
she could have handed Sansa the cat's paw to go down to the crypts instead of, and then just use a piece of dragon glass. But no, it was that dagger. So yeah, you're right, dude. I love it.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce. I'm sorry, dude. I'm from New Jersey. I apologize. I love how everything was so dark and foggy and chaotic. It was very realistic. See, I like that someone said that. We don't need to talk about it being dark. Everybody's talked about it. But from a cinematic perspective, if you could see it, let's not talk about that. I liked the choice. I thought it was a strong choice. It was called The Long Night. It was dark. It was chaotic. It was like Saving Private Ryan. You didn't know what the hell was going on. It added so much to everything. I know you love that too, Justin.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing. Be careful of walking the line between the whole, oh, well, it's dark and the characters can't see, so we shouldn't be able to see. The Battle of the Bastards, again, and I'll make this quick, is a very good example of this. John's POV when he is being trampled is very chaotic, and it's very well done. And then they show you that, but then they go to a train and an aerial view. So you should understand, yes, and see that perspective. But the idea of the characters can't see, so you can't see, this is a visual medium for story. No, that it should be established, and then we should be able to witness them struggling.
And that was part of the reason why we got so many wide shots in the beginning and so many wide shots of Winterfell in the 2 preceding episodes.
I don't think it was terrible, guys. I mean, it wasn't the best. The lighting's not the best in this show. It is what it is. For all the CGI, it's tough.
Yeah, yeah. So, and
that's not really a hot take on that. We're all pretty much,
exactly. All right, 2 questions from Diogo. This episode also raised a few questions. I love this question. Is there still a reason to keep the wall up?
Well, the wall was, okay. What was the reason that the wall was built originally, and then what was the reason for it at the beginning of our story? The wildlings was how they explained it away.
See, that's a great point. We're told that the wall was built to keep out the White Walkers or whatever, the bad things, but it eventually kind of regressed into basically a staging point to stop the wildlings from coming down, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So in effect, it obliterated both needs, because supposedly there are no more wildlings because they're all dead. They're either part of the army or they came with John from Hardhome. John and Tormund from Hardhome. The Night and the White Walkers are defeated. So it makes you think, I wonder if they're even going to address that. The Night's Watch has played such a big part in the show. It has such a long history. Will it become something new? Maybe the Night's Watch will become a place where they send expeditions past the wall to explore it and to settle it. Maybe we'll even see them talk about settling north of the wall.
I think that we will see that, and I think the Night's Watch will actually be staffed higher, but not for the in the sense of we need to stop the Ooga Booga monsters are the people that we're going to decide are barbarians because they're on the other side of that wall. It's because they need to guard the realms of men, meaning all men. They don't need to raise a wall. I mean, this is a story about societal change, reform. This is a story about power and who the best, it's really, it investigates different methods of rule and the philosophy of, ethical rule and what makes a good ruler. It's kind of like a little Machiavellian. So I think that I see the Night's Watch being really, beefed up, but not for the sake of, trying to keep away wildlings or monsters, but for the sake of having people that are always dedicated from all 7 kingdoms, technically 9, that are trying to protect this world. So we don't,
but why? See, but why would they need to protect what?
It should be a standing army is kind of what I'm getting at.
Why would they even be located there? There's the delineation is meaningless anymore. There's nothing that they're not protecting from the wildlings. They're not protecting from.
You have to protect your borders in general. I mean,
I get what I'm trying to say is, why does it need to be? I think what the question is really, why does that even need to be a border anymore?
Well, I think that I'm talking about it as an institution, and you're talking about, and I'm not saying, I think I'm speaking about it as an institution serving as a standing force that always has the realm, whether it is going around by Goldtown in the Vale or whether it's in the Crown Lands. I'm not talking. I'm not talking about.
Okay, but we're talking about the wall. So, do you think that they'll just leave the castles at the wall? They'll just abandon them? I mean, will they? I think that's more the question.
Can they build the wall at this point? They can't do.
They'll just remain a relic of another time. They can't take down the rest of it, right?
Yeah, they're not able to do. They haven't had like technological advancement in like 300 years or something, and that's a lot to do with depending on magic. So
Well, one idea I have is that it becomes an exploration, that the people who go to the wall are like maybe some different maesters, explorers, adventurers, people who want to go to a new place, and they kind of become they form the Night's Watch becomes, instead of what you said, which I think is a cool idea, they become more of a exploratory, like Star Trek almost. You know what I mean? Like they have a mission of going past the wall and learning and bringing back and understanding. But
yeah,
I don't know if we're going to see that. That would be
I,
kind of
I
cool.
just think I
That'd be
like
a
the
cool
sentiment
spin-off.
of not trying to like guard a wall, but the Night's Watch.
Yes.
The idea of it is to protect the realm, right?
Right.
So
Right.
they just
I think
protect the realm,
yeah.
all of the realm, everybody. You know.
That's cool. I like that, man. I like that idea.
Probably won't happen.
Um,
And people are bringing up that it was served as a prison, they believe. And again, like they don't have the technology to build the wall again. So,
yeah. All
yeah,
right, let's go. Let's move on. We already answered this question, Diago. Did the wildlings lose their purpose to fight now the Night King is defeated? Well, there really aren't really that many wildlings left. So I think they're going to have to I mean, and they've proven their worth in battle. People have talked about that actually in a couple battles. So I think that I don't. Do you think they're going to address that a lot, or
what do you mean? Have they lost their? How is that phrased? I'm looking for it.
yeah, well, their purpose to fight? I think what he's trying to say is like,
Against Cersei.
yeah, that's okay. That's a good point. I'm sorry, I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
I'm making a video on that right
Oh,
now.
okay. What do you think? So very quickly, we don't want to spoil your big video, Justin. What do you think?
Yeah, well, let's get it out now because it's going to take forever to get out. My thing is that Danny definitely came and she sacrificed her forces to save the North. She has no attachment to the North in every sense, in a lot of almost every aspect of this. It was very selfless, but also at the same time, it was a little road block in her journey to get the throne. John was trying to get it to stop. She has sacrificed her power, and she's left with what? Essentially, just dragons, which have been the whole time that she's been in Westeros. What has Tyrion, especially, been trying to get her to stop from doing?
Right.
Taking those to
But
King's
what does that
Landing.
have to do with the wildlings? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about how she's going to need other forces.
Okay. Okay.
So Danny is going to expect that the people that she helped save go and fight for her. I'm going to say that the strongest person in this realm right now is Sansa, and that the people in the North, even though because they didn't see season one, they don't have the box set. That's what's great about this story. Like Danny, again, I'm just trying to set it up. Did do everything like she saved the people before she went and tried to take the power, the seat, the mantle. That's very noble, but also was that maybe the best plan? Because now all she has is her dragons, which is going to put her in a situation that's going to put her at odds with her council. I think that Sansa has the loyalty of the North. I think that I don't see Sansa going against Dany in a militaristic way, but I see a division. I don't think the people of the North, especially after this heinous battle and this just treachery and all this misery they've just been through, are going to be so eager to march against Cersei Lannister. There's a lot of distance between that capital and them. That's not a threat for them right now.
We talked about this when we were chatting last night about how we might get there's like kind of a lull where they might they have to recoup forces. And
that's
so
next episode. So Danny is going to ask for their allegiance. They are going to be grateful, but I don't see them jumping on horses and starting to go to the capital because why? Cersei's not going to come to them. We have no reason to believe that.
You could totally even see Tormund saying like, we just did this one battle. We had zombies crawling let's, you know what I mean? All the people were depleted. That's a good point. All right, let's move
The last
on.
point I want to make though really quick is everybody says Sansa was down in the crypts when they were fighting. This comes back to the whole idea of that, you need to be alive to do good. And Sansa can't, her strengths lie in her intellectual strengths. She has the the best education about the politics of these kingdoms. She's been in, the Vale, King's Landing. She's been in the North under three different rulers. She is the one that's actually, even though they don't showcase it well, has the education from learning from people, from their mistakes and so forth. So all I'm saying is that the people of the North aren't likely to look at Sansa and say, "Oh, you were just down in the crypts when they were out there fighting." They're just happy to be alive, and I think that we are going to start to learn that going out. Look at Lyanna Mormont. That she wanted to do good for her people, and she did get to do the the mythic through the giant's eye. But you have to be alive to be for your people. Sansa's not a fighter. Her strengths lie in other areas, even though they don't like to show that empowerment. That's all I'm saying. So
no, I agree with you, and that's a great point of the show, and something that people should have a greater awareness of, is that heroes come in different shapes and forms, and it's not always with the sword and all that. They do different things and people have different roles. All right, let's move on. Thank you so much, Diago from Brazil. That's awesome. Thank you for writing in, and a new listener. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. Ira too. Fantastic. Now, we got quick things for Brett, and then we're going to get out of here. Brett, hosted the first initial reaction with me. He's going to be with us again. Westworld Theory Cast. Brett's the man. If you like Westworld, check us out. Justin likes Westworld too.
What is that one? Is that with the Cowboys?
Yeah,
Never seen it.
I don't know if it has cowboys anymore.
Oh, it's with the sexy robots. I like it.
Sexy robots. Brett says, if Arya successfully trained to become no one while retaining her identity as Arya Stark, is it possible that Bran successfully trained to become the Three-Eyed Raven while retaining his identity as Brandon Stark? When he handed the cat's paw dagger to Arya last season, you could argue that was a means to direct an outcome, not a passive gesture, but an action of a man with a motive. When he convinced Sam to reveal Jon's lineage to him while Sam was in a state of anger toward Daenerys, that could have been an action of a biased man with an opinion, possibly even a Stark looking out for his kin. Whoa, Brett.
Really well written. I like your verbiage. I like,
Man. Well, what I just want to say, I think that this is a wonderful and great new way to look at Bran.
Mm-hmm.
We see him staring off into space. He tells everybody, I'm not Brandon Stark. I'm not Bran Stark. And yet, you're absolutely right, Brett. Here's two distinct actions that we saw him take that could directly be related to him pushing history or pushing what should happen, and also that come from ego, from himself, right? From Bran Stark. Great point, Brett. What do you think, Justin?
Very beautifully written, and I'm going to disagree, though. Not that there's not validity to these claims. But no, very interesting way to look at it. Now, I'll just start with Arya really quick. Arya was trying to be trained in, in trying to have the, I don't know what you'd call it, the, ability to forget her past, like the discipline is what I'm looking for. I lack discipline. They were trying to, get her to forget who she was. Now, so you could say that in a broad sense, they both were trying to become nobody. Bran wasn't trying to become nobody. Bran has absorbed the feelings, the visions. He has been desensitized by the very powers that have
I think I know what you're trying to say. Arya went through training. Bran had a physical change to his brain and mystical change to his brain.
So one person was smoking trying to get cancer, and the other person just got it.
Arya trained but there were mystic arts involved in her training, but it was more of like a Full Metal Jacket type thing, which is, we're going to erase you and build you back up. Whereas Bran went through a metaphysical or physical experience that changed his identity at almost a soul level, right?
Yeah, he became a god, which is essentially a monster in many senses, because he's otherworldly. He can go and see anything.
You can't deny, but then are you saying though? But look, He was told by the three-eyed raven not to like interfere with stuff,
Mhm.
but he gave her that dagger. Then he looked at her and he felt something. I noticed that in the rewatch. And he did like tell Sam, go now, when he was all angry. And it just does seem and kind of like, you know, I don't know. I think we've got 3 episodes left, and I think Brett, I'm gonna think about it.
Very good point. I just will add to that that it's about not interfering with the past, which is the universal rule of time travel. And again,
For
have fun with
you,
the
it
time.
is, maybe.
The paradox. I guess technically he could be in these scenes going back and trying again. When he was like, "We don't have time for this," kind of reminded me of somebody that was like at the third playthrough and didn't get it right. He's like, "Ah, fuck this conversation."
Hey, oh,
But
wait, hold on. Justin, don't go so fast past what you just said. That was very interesting. What you just said was the times that Brand said, "We don't have time for this. We've got to do this." It that appeared as if a person who had been through this before and was pushing events in a certain way. Do you think that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that can be yes, of course, that makes sense, but also this is a person that is very aware of the threat that has been there, the ticking clock that has been since the beginning, and he is the other than John, but more than John actually is very aware. So they don't. I mean, yes, it could be interpreted as that, and there's that connection correlation, but I don't think that that's. I mean, it's just yeah, you could workshop it that way, but it does make more sense that he did he can the green sight gives him the ability to see it in the future a little bit. It's been established that that is something that is possible. I don't see him going back in time and messing with things because
Okay.
that is like the universal thing. All I'm saying is that like Blood Raven is not Brandon Rivers. And he is it's like he has embodied what when he blew up into the dust. What Bran
I don't
is
even know
like
what you're talking about.
what?
I have no idea what you're
Well,
talking.
Blood Raven is Brendan Rivers. Okay, he was Hand of the King. He was the Lord Commander for a while. He
And he
was
became the three-eyed raven, right? Is that
yeah,
what you're
he was
talking about? Okay.
yeah. So like that
Well, we're just talking about in the show. You're saying it's a total change. It's a transformation. They become the three-eyed raven is a static, and they go to that, not the other way around.
yeah, one's a change in psyche and personality, one's a change in your complete
Okay.
agency and like what you are. Like is it like like metaphysically,
Yeah, I get it.
so
All right, let's move on.
yeah,
Also,
very interesting though, and wow, like the best worded 2 paragraphs I've seen in
well,
a long
that's because
time.
Brett's the man. Also, if the three-eyed raven is the memory of this world, then Bran could have a big role to play if the wheel is going to be broken and a new government formed so that mankind does not repeat its past mistakes. This is
Mhm.
a really interesting idea that I had not thought, Brett. We think so much that Bran can tell them all these secret mythological things, but he can also kind of tell them, hey, they tried this before and it didn't work, or people generally act like this, or you should trust that the people will listen because in the past this happened. I saw it. That's a really interesting point. Have you ever thought of that before, Justin?
Yeah, I think about it all the time of the significance of his of his ability to see and get perspective, and the idea that he is a man that can see anything but has to still be told where to look. I think that there's a lot of power in that hindsight and that perspective. In this story is all about playing with perspective, and that's how it is. That is the machine that both book and show is about showing both sides of the coin. Events through different eyes, and it's very powerful, but at the same time, you know um it I had this allegory and I kind of dropped it, but it was like he is still looking back in time and seeing a whole bunch of people still looking in the flames, trying to figure out the answers for everything. So it's like there's a lot to be said for people that it's a if you must remember history or you're bound to repeat it. And that's very much true. But at the same time, we have continued to do monstrous things
Yeah, of
over
course.
and over again,
But
so it's not yeah,
do you
I think
think
it's
that
very
this is going to
helpful.
be in the show? Do you think that they'll actually kind of sit Brand down and say, "Hey, man, we're trying to make a government like what Brett's talking about here. Is it really going to happen in the show? Do you think they're going to use him like that?"
um I don't No, I don't.
Yeah, I
Even
don't
though I
know.
think that makes sense
That
because
makes sense.
these are people again, remember how we started the show? Talking about changing things from the past.
Yeah, yep.
So, I'm not saying that's a smart thing, but I'm saying that, nobody's going to see what those old geezers did, except for us with our constitution that we're sticking with. They're like, you guys didn't write anything new. We said 13 years. Uh, you know what I mean? But right now, yeah, we're sticking with what you guys said there. You guys fuck. But anyways, you know what I mean? I don't, I see that as maybe being a tool, but the only thing that really not confuses me, but I don't really have even a just an answer for is, it seems as though the mantle of the three-eyed raven uh, can't really like live amongst them. So is he going to be sent out into the wilderness? So that it seems to me, okay, I'm a betting man, so that's what I'll bet will happen. But I agree with Brett and I agree with you that that's what they should do. But I don't, it doesn't seem like they're utilizing him very much
Yeah.
at all.
Scattershot, man, you know?
Yeah.
Like, even at that meeting, I thought they were gonna be like, hey, by the way, Bran, in the
Yeah.
can you go back to every battle that ever was and please tell us all these cool techniques that we could use? But they really didn't do that. All right,
Why
let's move
wouldn't they
on.
go back to the first pack? The essentially the
Yeah.
first pack. They didn't do
Well,
that. They're
because
just
they have
not utilizing. They're like, we'll figure it out.
well,
They're
because
like,
you know why, Justin? Because they're like, Bran, please don't, spoiler alert, we're doing a whole
yeah,
prequel of that, and it's coming out in 2020.
yeah.
Our
And
final little
they put time travel in the story, so they're like, oh fuck, we can't use that.
or it could be a whole new series.
Oh
Um,
god.
our final little bit of feedback. This has been a lot of fun, Justin. I got my energy like picked up about a half hour ago. I got kind of woke up. Um, the Lord of Light brought Beric back to ensure that Arya could take down the Night King. The Night King is dead, and so is Beric. The Lord of Light brought Jon back to prepare the battle that took down the Night King. The Night King is dead. I'm nervous for Jon.
Hmm.
It's an interesting point that when Jon first came back to life, I remember a lot of people saying maybe this is temporary. And I think he may have even said it in the show at some point. He may have even said something like, I don't know how long I'm here, how much time I have, or something like that. So that's interesting.
Well,
I don't know. What do you think?
okay, well, I'm gonna really disagree with the just. I get what there's. The Lord of Light brought back Beric to ensure that Arya. Okay, since the gods will never appear in the stories, and this has been stated by George in the almighty D&D, we cannot say that the Lord of Light. Okay, the Lord of Light brought back Beric 6 times, and then he did help Arya. The Lord of Light did bring back Jon, and he did play a role in this battle. Okay, to go about it in a way that there is set plans. I think the point of Beric's character is to show how random it is. He's brought back 6 times, and I mean, he helped and he did lead some
You're
people
saying
there.
it's not a direct correlation.
Yeah, so I just want to be careful with that. Of course, we should be nervous for John, but again, they've done a wonderful job with this. With before the Battle of the Bastards, again, they turned something. When you have somebody that's resurrected, that takes stakes away. They're about to go into battle. It's like, oh, he gets killed. Who cares? Cares? He'll be resurrected. He asked Melisandre to not bring him back. She says, "I'm going to bring you back," and he says, "Please don't." That's like really invading my privacy. But all jokes aside, what they did there is they turned a situation where you're looking at a battle that doesn't maybe matter. Sorry, for like one of your main protagonists, and they made him being brought back into a negative emotion. So they really play with that well. I am not so much nervous for John dying because I feel that looking at it in a high concept sense, that the general audience is not going to be thrilled with John dying again. I am willing to bet with everybody here that Tyrion and Dany and Euron are your
Oh,
3 people that are going to be dead for sure. Dany and Tyrion are both kind of a bet. One of them for sure, but I would still bet, and I'm looking to bet.
all right.
But
Wait,
those
wait,
are
hold
the
on. Let me wait. Tyrion,
yes,
Danny, and Euron.
yeah. Euron's a give me
Okay.
to me.
Okay. So you give me an in. That's who you think's going to die. I forgot last time on feedback to go over Howard's death pool, who we thought was going to die. And I just want to go over it quickly because Howard's awesome. He thought Jorah Mormont, Brienne, Theon, Tormund, Ed, Ghost, Beric, Missandei, and Tila, the little girl. Well, You were not right about Brienne's still alive, Tormund's still alive, Ghost is still alive, and Missandei and Teal. I think Teal survived. So unfortunately, Howard, that was not right. You said likely Lyanna Mormont. You were right. Gendry, nope. Podrick, nope. Gilly, nope. Little Sam, nope. So unfortunately, and you did have everyone else because you said no way, and they didn't die. There weren't a lot of people who died. You think that Dany, Tyrion, and Euron are going to die? I'm never good at this, so I'm not even going to say. I have no idea. And plus, we're still doing the guess the throne thing. I want to say this though. My attitude has kind of changed. I really went for about 2 seasons wanting everybody to die on this show. And I used to say it on the podcast a lot.
You're just going through a hard time.
Yeah, I just I
Yeah.
don't know why, because I thought it was kind of fun when people all of a sudden die, you know, and the show was good at it. But now I don't really care. If everybody lives, and they start a new life. If some people die, some people die. What I'm more interested to see in how it happens. So,
Yeah.
like, I like the way Theon died. I like the way Jorah died. I like the way Mormont died. So I was cool with it. If it's something stupid and I thought, or I perceive it to be stupid, I don't like it or unsatisfying, then maybe I'll say so. But
At their funeral, I tell people
at their
that. I'm like,
funeral.
"I thought the way you died was stupid,"
Well,
and I
listen,
was
I'm
not satisfied.
Irish. At Irish funerals, we tell jokes and get drunk.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
cry.
well, yes, everybody's, like, a day away from their funeral. Like, can I state a short case for, I mean, do you even, like I would just think to keep the coffin, you know what I mean? You're just gonna need to use that again. But anyways, Danny is far more likely to die than John because think of the situation. If John dies, Danny, her quest has been for the throne. John's quest has essentially been for yes, recognition and all that, but now it's kind of just for peace.
Yes.
So if John were to die, that would be hard for Danny because of the relationship, but also she still gets her throne. So if Danny dies, he does not want to sit on that throne, but he is going to be forced into that throne. So that is far more conflict. Tyrion is being pulled in 3 different directions: Sansa, Danny, and Cersei, his family. So I see he has so many. He is the one that is in the most amount of risk as far as his actions, because again, Danny is going to be hard pressed not to go and put those dragons on King's Landing. You can't say let's put up another stupid blockade. No more dancing around in season 7. They only got the
He's
dragons.
back. He's back. We lost you there for a second there, bud.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that the Tyrion's got a lot of different angles that are tugging at him.
He's been so sad this season too. Like you're right, dude. It's like it's almost as if he's got something on his mind that's just I don't know. Now, before we go, because I got to get going, it's getting late here. I just want to ask you. We're talking about people dying. I don't usually talk about it or predict it, but I want to ask you: do you think Cersei's going to die? Do you think she's going to live? Do you think she's going to win? Do you think she's going to get blow things up? Because that's what I think. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, I think that she will be the one that turns the Golden Company on King's Landing. They will not break their contract because they will do what she asks, and that is if she can't have the throne, then nobody can have it. But I would bet Cersei has a better chance of living than Danny.
All right. Let's leave it at that. Let's
Yeah.
leave it at that, Justin. Justin, thank you so much for being on with me this evening, brother. Can you please tell everyone again where they can find you?
They can find me at Top Shelf Fandom, and we're putting out videos, and we have some really good streams coming this Sunday. We got the return of Before the Dust Settles, a little Game of Thrones special edition with me and the co-host Hax Dogma. I consider you became pretty much part of the official structure, but W. Axel Foley will be with us, Robert from In Deep Geek, and Johnny Be Crazy. And then on Monday, a day after the episode, because there's so many streams now that it's like I have to like do it at 4:00 in the morning to get a slot. But I got two excellent content creators, Keen McKay, who's in New Zealand. So 16 hours ahead. We're doing it at 11 p.m. Eastern on Monday night. And also my Australian buddy. So I'm going all South Pacific on it. You know what I mean? So we were going to do that. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to try to keep these going. And I think that this blockbuster movie, because that's what we got coming, 3 acts, baby. And, this is very much uniform, and it's going to be jostling for power, and it's going to remind us of season 1, and it's going to be great. So yeah, I'm really excited, and yeah, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to check me out on Patreon. It would mean the world if you help me create content. $3 from you would hopefully be barely noticeable, and it makes a huge difference for me to be able to afford Adobe in editing programs. I don't spend it on fancy vacations or anything like that.
It'd be fine if you did.
Yeah, no, eventually,
you do, baby.
Yeah,
All
so and
right,
thank you for having me on, Axel. So, it's been a heck of a time.
It's fun. I was just like, the kid was going to sleep. I could see it happening. I said, "Hey, Justin, you want to do this?" And now it's done. We had a great time talking about Game of Thrones. I want to give it a throwback here, and I want to thank Brett. I want to thank Diago. I want to thank, let's see, John Lee. I want to thank John Wambacher. I want to thank Ira. And I want to thank the Velvet Days, all people who contributed to this feedback episode and who made it happen. You can email
also
us.
the chat. I just want to.
Oh yes.
I don't want to interrupt. I just know you don't have it in front of you.
Fine.
So
thank you, everyone in the chat. You know what? Before we go, do you want to? I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm ignoring that we're on YouTube. You tell me this. You're like, Axel, don't just do a podcast on YouTube. Actually, like, talk to the people on YouTube. Do you want to answer some things do you want to look in the chat? Did anybody?
Yeah, we can go through it. I can say what's up to some people.
I can give it a few more minutes here.
Let's see. We have. I got some people that were Amanda Kane.
People in the chat. If you in the chat, or if you're listening, you too can email us at podcastwinterfell@gmail.com, because I always like to hear from everybody. So go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually got maybe some of these are coming from the podcast side, but I recognize a lot of these people. OTDA, thank you for stopping by. We got Scott T248. Let's see what he says about the Night King. I think the Night King story is gone now. Everything does not need to be answered. Leaves us talking after. Yes, Scott, if you're still here, that is my sentiment completely. And it's natural for us to want more. And it was a little bit hasty, but at the same time, the arc is technically complete, and we, you can only, it's like, you're just prolonging what's going to happen no matter what. So yeah, I like that sentiment, and I think that we'll all come around to it.
I think that it's
hard.
If the Night King, if the Night King's over and there's no more of that kind of magic or figuring it out, or if it's only just with, whatever Bran might have to do, or nothing, or I just have to go away and be in the woods, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the rest of the story being about the people that we know, Cersei, what happens after, even if they jump forward. That's been, a lot of people are talking about that. I think you might have said that.
To get that baby, we got to jump forward.
Yeah, you jump, or even farther forward, dude, like 20 years or something. That could be kind of fun. But we
also the magic too. I just want to touch on what you said, just because and I'm sorry to interrupt. I just like that aspect. Remember that the magic doesn't die with them; they become strong because of the magic. So we most likely will see a drop in the magic. We've seen it with our arc. We've seen the high aspect of it. But remember, magic's what's made them possible. We don't know why the rhyme or reason, but that's why it's not like it's impossible for this to happen again. And again, we don't know what happens with the White Walker babies. I don't know which kindergarten they're in. It's hard to get in a good school north of the wall.
Someone said this. I saw this question on Twitter. What happens if they left some of the younger White Walkers back at White Walker camp? Did they explode into ice too?
That was Zeus, and I had a question for him that I actually I brought up the fact that they have a language, which means they have wants and needs, but also they create art with the symbols. A lot of people,
that's troll art. They're it's the upside down flag. They're inverted
primordial spiral. The point is them creating patterns, art, anything is usually akin to why we have societal institutions. It means we create art usually to try to interpret our meaning, our fine meaning. So my question to them was, what the Night King had his, the White Walkers had their goal to get, Bran, because most likely I just elate that too because he's a green seer. So were they trying to fulfill their meaning, or were they trying to find meaning in this? Because, you know, just that was my question. So I mean, that's for another time, but that I was very intrigued by that as well. Get back to me, Aziz. No, Aziz is a really good guy. So yeah, let's go through this chat really quick. We Amanda Kane, one of my lovely curators. Thank you so much. Tim Hines, I believe you know Tim.
Wait a second. Hold on. I always, whenever DJ Tim is around, I don't read his emails. And so I'm going to just read something he said in the chat. Just because it's DJ Tim Hines. And he said, I need an intern. Okay. DJ has now contributed to the podcast and the live stream. All right. Anything else, Justin?
Yeah, I also need interns. Bad. Yeah. I really do. If anybody is like an organized person that like likes working with creative stuff, but like is able to smack somebody's hand when they go off on a tangent,
you gotta do what I do. You have to have a wife and have a child, and then wait until that child's like 13, and then you can tell them they can do all those kind of tasks for you.
No, that's not worth it at all. Oh my God, that's.
Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something. Right,
I just drip in my mouth, bro.
On a podcast. My son is the joy of my life, people. He is the most wonderful thing that ever happened to me. And we're going to end it there. I think we're good with the chat. I got to get going. We've been doing this almost 2 hours. Thank you, everyone who's been in the chat.
Fandom Desane and everybody else. Yeah, thank you.
We're going to be going. DJ's going to do a little YouTube thing on Monday. We're going to have a smaller crowd. I think 3 or 4 people. Actually, I think John Wambacher is going to be a part of that. And we'll be releasing that too. Subscribe, rate, all that kind of stuff. Again, email us at podcastwinterfell@gmail.com if you would like. And Justin, I will just let you say goodbye because I don't like to not let you say goodbye again.
Yeah, I don't like how you left it off as like the idea that I should have kids. Axel is happy with his situation. I'm happy with mine. Kids will not answer your problems. They're just a drain on your checking account. That's all I'm saying, though. But he has a lovely family. I'm not a good person. So no, check me out
on your checking account, but they add to the bank account of love.
Yeah, it's not a half glass half full, half empty. You're just happy to have that glass, aren't you? All right. No, there's something beautiful about it. So thank you guys so much. And there's something beautiful about a Game of Thrones. It's almost like a song of Ice and Fire. So thank you guys so much. Make sure to subscribe. It's already over 100. You get a vanity URL, man. Let's put this off air right now. And thank you guys so much.
Get a vanity. I'm going to get my vanity URL. Peace out, everybody.